What?
Huh?
What is it? Wait. Oh, yeah, combination.
They're waiting forever now, so I don't know. They're waiting for something to roll away.
El Jefe.
Comes El Jefe.
Akan yung minso.
Well, nice to see you again.
If I may just have a few minutes of your time. President of the United States, Mr. President, First Lady, President of South Africa, Jane Slimsley, and Mrs. Gashman. Mr. President, your visit here highlights once again the universal symbolism of Robben Island. You are heading an increasing list of distinguished people from your country and from all over the world. If I may just mention some of the names from your country who have visited us, who honored us with their visit. Of course, the First Lady, about this time last year, and your very, very beautiful and talented daughter, Chelsea, who I will never forget, because she had read the autobiography so intelligently, and she remembered so much of it, and asked so many intelligent questions. I can never forget that. Yesterday, Mr. President, you addressed the Parliament of the Democratic South Africa. And today you have come to see what preceded April '94 when democracy came into our country. Just a very brief background of the type of discrimination, the carelessness of apartheid as it applied even in Britain. Apartheid applied in gradations. The first and best off were the white South Africans. The second on the ladder were coloreds and Indians like myself. And at the bottom of the ladder were Africans, like the president. When we arrived here in June of 1964, it was bitterly cold, raining, windy, and when we had to change into prison clothes, the president, Mr. Mbeki, Mr. Sisulu, who are all my seniors in age, and there were 7 of us, they were all given short trousers to wear, according to the law. They were given no socks. I was given long trousers, I was given socks. The rationale behind the short trousers is that in South Africa, in those years, and unfortunately still persists to some extent, the rationale is all Africans, regardless of age, are boys or girls. And boys wear short trousers. So the president and others with him had to wear short trousers. Same type of discrimination in the food, whereas I would get 2 spoons of sugar, they would get 1 spoon of sugar. They would not get bread. I would get bread. So from the start, it was a struggle against apartheid on this terrain. And the struggle meant hunger strikes and so forth. The first victory was after a few years when we managed to equalize the clothing, and later on, after many years, we equalized the food. We were sentenced to hard labor. We had to work with pick and shovels for 8 hours a day. Work we had never done before. So in the first month, it was bleeding hands and blisters. But that was the challenge, because that is what the other side had identified to crush our spirits. And it was a challenge that we dare not lose. And we did not lose. There was the brutality of the war. I just want to cite one example of the mentality of people who are supposed to look after us. We, of course, on this side of the prison were isolated from the bulk of the political prisoners, completely isolated. Now the other prisoners on the other side, that is the political prisoners, were working at the stone quarry, and there was an altercation between a prisoner, Mr. Mlambo, and a warder. They then asked the prisoner to dig a hole and buried him up to here. It was a sweltering day, and when the prisoner complained of thirst, they urinated on him. That was the type of the mentality of these people. You have no doubt come across the president's autobiography, The Long Walk to Freedom, so I should just mention this wall. Where this wall is used to be the president's garden. And after the manuscript was written and its completed form was given over to our experts who transcribed it into small handwriting and smuggled it out of the country, we buried the manuscript here, the original. And when they started building this wall through our garden, that manuscript was discovered. And we were then punished, 3 of us. The president has brought me into a lot of trouble, even in jail. So we were punished and we were deprived of our studies for 4 years at that time. For abusing
I must say that they were included because the method was how to write the manuscript. And when I finished a chapter, I gave it to him and Walter Sisulu because we had no reference language. So that they would make corrections. And then I would rewrite the chapter. That's how they came into trouble, because the writing was identified in that manuscript.
So 75% or more of what you read today in The Long Walk to Freedom was written here in prison by the president. Robben Island was a test. In addition to the philosophy of our liberation organizations, we were taught that we were fighting against a system and not against a people. On Robben Island, on the one hand, we had the callousness, the brutality, the sadism of the authorities who are hell-bent on crushing our morale and our spirits. On the other hand, Robben Island symbolized a triumph of the human spirit over evil, a triumph of good over oppression. In short, a triumph of the new South Africa over the old. The oppressors failed in their mission to induce a collective amnesia among the people of this country and the world. Because we were told in so many words, in 5 years' time, nobody will remember the name of Mandela. And they did everything possible to induce that collective amnesia. They failed. They failed in their endeavors to crush the spirits of the prisoners. They failed to deprive the people of their dignity and their humanity and of their civilized values. They failed in every respect. Mr. President, everything I have said is symbolized in one person, and that is our President. It was his leadership, his courage, his wisdom, his foresight that guided us through the 18 years that we spent here and the rest of our sentences which we spent in other prisons in the Cape. So we owe the transformation that we talk of. The seeds were here. When the other side, we call them the enemy at the time, set out to crush our spirits, and Robben Island was tailor-made to induce a spirit of hatred, a spirit of revenge, retribution. But thanks to the leadership of our President, thanks to the philosophy of the liberation movement, we did not fall into those emotions of hatred. So the seeds of the negotiation process were here on Robben Island. Because we realized and we maintained all the time that there is no such thing as driving 5 million whites into the sea. They are South African citizens. They may be on the opposite side. When freedom comes, we have to work together to build a new country. And again, we have to thank our President for that. Robben Island is unique, I think, in the world. I think it is one place where from prison, almost literally, from prison to parliament to president. Mr. President, we are confident that when you leave Robben Island, you will leave as a friend of Robben Island. To carry the message of the triumph of Robben Island to your people and to people everywhere. And we have confidence that we can count on you in future for your continued moral support. And when we develop Robben Island, as we are planning to do as a universal symbol, we hope we can count on you also for your material support. I thank you very much and welcome again to Robben Island.
Thank you.
Can we just ask you, President Mandela?
There'll be no questions at the moment, please.
President Mandela tell us if there's
We are going in at the moment. We will be seeing them. We will be seeing them just now.
We will have a chance to come.
You can ask him a question when he comes out.
When we come out, we have indicated.
He'll be glad to
earlier-
tell you about it. claquer dans le micro. Pas la peine. Non, pareil. Pareil. Tu peux encore aller plus loin que lui. Moi j'aime pas. J'aime pas parce qu'un bout de perche, ça
Parce que là, elle est à la moitié, simplement, il est encore un bout.
Ouais.
Non, il n'y en a plus là.
Ah, mais je l'aimerais celui-là. Ça, c'est ouvert à moitié. Si j'ouvre celui-là, je vais encore plus loin que lui. Là. Les mêmes, c'est les mêmes. C'est 1, 2, 3, j'ai 4 brins, 5 brins.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Non, je pense pas.
Non,
Je te dis qu'un bout de perche, ça fait comme ça. Voilà.
non, je viens, non, je pensais que c'était celui-là ton dernier brin. T'as 5 brins.
Sir, I'm on the cameraman.
That's where we were. For real? Is that, no, wait, no. I think they're just getting ready to say. Yeah. Had me one.
I don't know if he got back in the ladder or not. I'm going to send John some negative and see if he can.
Well, you know what I'll do is, let Mark look at the film. If there's something there, I'll have him send it.
Okay.
You know, have him get it. I'll have New York get it to you guys. And if there's something, if either one of us had a better frame, that's fine.
Time is it? Oh.
You don't want to put it in here, Gerald.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Well, there is the two of them walking down the hall, but it's not going to be through inside the so packed. Oh, God.
Like, why should this baby be different than the other day? Oh, yes. How are you? Wakanda. And what is your name? Oh, Papa, don't come here. Oh, Marizano, pronunciation. Well, buy a dumpling.
These are the children of the people who are staying on the island. The staff are staying on the island. And they have no school here. On the other way in a crèche.
Your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. The more we are together, the happier we'll be.
All right, can we shake hands with you?
take a picture?
We stand on both sides.
Very good. Okay. Please, let's
Are we going to do this together?
Sorry.
very happy to
Come on.
Give me Becky.
Hey, please.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Very good. Well,
Can we get on this side?
I'm so happy. Let me shake hands with all of you. All right. Very well. This way, everybody. Very good. Yes? Very good. So nice. Very good. Okay. Very good. So nice. Very nice. Yes? Very good. I hope you'll tell the other children that I love them. Will you? Very good. Very good. Tell the other children that I love them very much. Very good. Yes? Very good. Very good indeed. Thank you very much. I was happy to meet you.
Clear it up.
Very, very good.
What did seeing that prison cell say to you about the struggle there? Mr. President, what did seeing that cell say to you?
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, now this is not a press conference. You've had your share in Cape Town, and we don't believe in double features. But what we want to do now is our president is going to hand over to President Clinton a quarry rock with a certificate authenticated by our president that this is the genuine quarry rock from the quarry where he worked for 13 years.
Well, again, to bring the honor of the because yes, that's fine. Because as we have said on many occasions, our victory here is your victory as well, because you helped us tremendously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
He said he would answer one.
May I just say, this is not a press conference. Any question must be confined to Robben Island and Robben Island only, please.
Your experiences, Mr. President, and what you told President.
Let me come closer.
Stop.
Yes?
Come on.
We're just interested in your experiences. We'd like to hear firsthand from you about your experiences in this cell.
Well, they were pleasant and unpleasant experiences. And it depends how you look at the situation. As you know, right down the centuries, and in many parts of the world, there are men and women who are able to turn disaster, what would crush many people, to turn that disaster into victory. And that is what these men here, like Mr. Kathrada and others, did. And so when I come here, I call back into memory that great saga in which the authorities who were pitiless, insensitive, cruel, nevertheless failed in their evil intentions. They were responsible for that.
President Mandela, can we just ask you you've been back to the island many times.
Just come closer, please.
That's okay. Stop.
Have you been back to the island many times? Can you tell us what the special significance is of this particular visit with the American president?
Well, there is no doubt that, as I said at the press conference, that the visit by President Clinton is a high water mark in relation to all the visits that we've had. And coming to Robben Island is to add something more important to that significant achievement of coming to South Africa. And we appreciate that very much.
Mr. President,
What did you think?
After coming